Hey Kobe, it's Leah from the park. Here are just a few little hip and back stretches. I'm going to start it out like really basic and simple. It may not even feel like you're doing it very much, but we'll just give it a shot and see how it goes. I want to keep it simple and short. And then you can tell me if it's helpful, if you want to do more, what was helpful for you. So you're going to be doing most of this lying down. So you need to have a little space around you. If you have a yoga mat, that's great. If you don't, you don't have to have a yoga mat. I don't have really great angles out here, but we'll do our best. Okay, so here's my mat. I set it out the long way. I'm gonna lie down on it. Again, doesn't matter if you have a mat or not. I'm gonna place my feet, kind of wide apart, like mat distance apart. So I'm using my mat as a reference, which is wider than hip distance apart. So when I lay down, my feet are gonna be mat distance apart. I just want you to see my legs right now. I can feel the edges of the mat underneath my feet. So this is just kind of like a neutral lying down position. And from here, we're only moving the lower body. You're kind of rolling on your feet. You're gonna roll on the edge of the right foot and the inner edge of the left foot, and that's gonna take your knees over to the right. Then you're gonna roll them back up to our top position, and then exhale and roll the other way. So you're gonna roll on the inside edge of your right foot, the outside edge of your left foot. So you're just going ahead and doing this a few times. Your feet are relaxed. You're feeling the rolling of your feet. You're kind of feeling the sway in the knees. Notice when I go over to one side, the opposite hip's gonna come up off the floor a little bit. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be on my hips again. And then when I go over to the other side, my opposite hip is gonna lift up off the floor a little bit. So I'm just letting this motion happen with ease. I'm not forcing it. If my legs don't wanna go down any further than this, I'm not pushing them. If they go down a little further, then that's what happens. And just notice your sides. Go back and forth at a pace that feels soothing for you. Again, not worrying about the pace. It's just what feels good for you. Taking a smooth, calm breath the whole time. So back and forth. If it feels good to stop on one side, you could stop on one side for a couple breaths. Just to kind of have the feeling of being more settled into the stretch. And then you'd want to do that on the other side as well. Just a little moment of settling. I usually call this windshield wipers, and that's kind of what it should feel like just like a steady back and forth motion. Okay, and then so after you've explored that for a moment, and I think probably everyone in the world has done this stretch at some time, now your feet are just hip distance apart, and you're gonna take this ankle to knee position. So I have my right ankle on my left knee, my foot's relaxed. If you have a knee issue, you can keep your foot flexed, which kind of stabilizes the knee joint a little bit more. Ways to increase the stretch here are to bring your bottom foot closer in. Alternatively, move it farther away. It's not such a deep stretch. If you're not feeling a stretch, you can take your right hand and push your right leg away. You can kind of do like a bouncing motion. Notice that you could also do that without your arm. So I can do that all from an internal place. So you can just explore how that stretch feels. If for any reason you are one of those people just with kind of more open hips, you could bring the whole thing up towards you. And so you're gonna take your left foot off the floor. Notice I could do this without my arms, but I can also thread my arms through and I can pull. So I'm actually pulling the left leg in, and the more I pull, the more stretch I'm feeling on my right hip. So you can play around with that. You can do it with your arms or without your arms. If you're not using your arms, it's more of a active form of a stretch. If you're using your arms, you get into a little bit more passive form of a stretch. So you're gonna do that until you feel like you found a really good stretch and you've settled into it, and then switch your sides. And your sides could be different, so you kind of have to approach it as if it's a whole new animal. Maybe your left side is tighter or maybe it's looser. So you decide what feels best for you. on the side. If you're using your arms, you're gonna catch your left arm on the inside of your right thigh. There's this little triangle space between your legs that you can see through here, and you can just reach your arms through and pull as much or as little as you want to. After you've had a good stretch and a few deep breaths to settle, uncross the legs, place the feet on the floor, and just do a few really gentle hip bridges. So you're gonna push your lower back onto the floor. You're gonna lift your hips up. I'm not gonna go very high, and then lower your hips down. Lift your hips up. Now, if you wanna go higher, you can catch your arms underneath you and really come into a deeper bridge position, which is gonna be extension of the spine, and then lower down. Just like the other positions, feel free to explore. Like maybe you want to go up and down a few times. Maybe you want to hold the up position. When you're lowering down your last time, make sure that you lower down like you're lowering a strand of pearls to a table. So like one section of the spine at a time until you're all the way down at the bottom, and then hug the knees to the chest. So when you hug your knees to your chest, you can have your knees all the way together. So when I look at them, my thighs are touching, or you can open your knees apart. So this is a slightly deeper stretch. My toes are together, my knees are apart. It's a little bit more hip flexion. We just did hip extension with the bridge. Now we're doing hip flexion. And then you'll roll yourself up to sit. And that's all we're gonna do, just that today. And if that is something that feels like it is working for you, continue to do those stretches a couple times a week or even every day. If those are really easy for you and you wanna do more, I can send you another video with more. Not ideal conditions out here. My room that I usually use for videoing is not available to me right now. So sorry about the awkwardness, but let me know if that works for you, and I'll send it to you now. Bye.